The last few weekends, the hundreds of thousands of Israelis have taken to the streets, and I think we need to turn a moment from the battlefields of Gaza and towards the streets of Tel Aviv, Haifa, Jerusalem, where a quieter, though no less courageous battle is being waged. And this isn't a clash of tanks or drones, but of conscience. And what we're witnessing is a rise of a remarkable movement of resistance within Israel itself. Teenagers burning conscription papers, reservists refusing the call-up, intelligence officers declaring orders clearly illegal, and former soldiers who simply will not return to Gaza having seen what they have seen. The people who have come out on the streets call for a ceasefire deal, the return of hostages, and crucially an end to what they are now beginning to call the forever war. The symbolism is powerful. Roads are blocked, tires burned, the Israeli flag is carried alongside placards of missing hostages. Families of captives, once supportive of military action, now demand its termination. This isn't a fringe protest, but a mainstream anguish, the sound of a society cracking under the strain of war without victory. And at the heart of the new opposition are the young refuseniks. Yona, just 19, burned her enlistment papers outside a draft office in Haifa, declaring openly, "I will not enlist into an army that's committing genocide." For her, prison is preferable to complicity. Others like Tal Mitnik and Ido Elam have served terms in military prison for refusing to wear the uniform. These are not armchair critics or ideologues, but teenagers willing to sacrifice their freedom and reputations for the principle that no state has the right to conscript them into atrocity. And Western liberals sometimes ask, well, why didn't they do this sooner? But such a question misses the point. What matters is that they're doing it now, when the cost is highest, when the prisons are waiting, when public opinion is hostile. This is not ideology, but lived experience, lived reality turned into moral defiance. Then there are those who did serve, men like Yuval Green. This is even more alarming for the Israeli authorities, who rushed to the front after the 7th of October, only to discover in Gaza the dehumanization and the brutality that he could no longer reconcile with defense of his country. His turning point came when ordered to burn down a civilian house without explanation, and he walked away. Intelligence officers too have broken ranks. 41 members of Unit 8200 recently wrote an open letter refusing to participate in what they described as a war waged to preserve Netanyahu's rule and to appease messianic elements in his coalition. They labelled government orders clearly illegal, and this is extraordinary. The very people responsible for selecting bombing targets are now refusing to continue. And the public cost of this refusal is immense. Military service is not merely a duty in Israel, it's a passport to full citizenship. To refuse is to embrace ostracism, second-class status, even the accusation of treachery. Yet people like Itamar Greenberg, who served almost 200 days in prison, insist they cannot in conscience wear a uniform that symbolizes killing and oppression. And it's easy for us abroad to admire such courage, but we must also understand its rarity. Israel has nearly 500,000 reservists. The refuseniks are a minority, but they are a minority that matters. Their witness cuts through the fog of slogans about security and necessity. They speak as insiders, as witnesses to the reality. And what is at stake here is not just the war in Gaza, but the future character of Israel itself. On one side stand those who believe that endless war and permanent occupation are the guarantors of survival. On the other stand those who insist that survival without humanity is meaningless. It's a contest between militarism and conscience, between the desire for vengeance and the possibility of justice. The refuseniks, the marchers, the dissident soldiers, they are saying what needs to be heard, that a war without achievable aims, without moral restraint, without political wisdom, is not defense but destruction of the country. We must not respond by sneering that they should have spoken sooner. Their courage is not retrospective but present. They remind us that resistance to injustice often begins late, but better late than never. They remind us that every soldier has a choice, every teenager has a conscience, and that the witness of even a few can pierce the armour of a state. The real story is this: even in a society wounded, fearful and divided, humanity can still speak out. And when it does, we ought to be ready to listen.